Absolutely. I would be interested in directing an episode of Minority Report. You would too, right?
Yeah. Directing is definitely something that I think an actor, when you pay attention long enough, you immediately start understanding how to create narrative behind the images and working with your fellow actors. I think we also know how to talk to an actor.
Yeah, you can speak like an actor's language. I think that's kind of the biggest difference between like producing and directing. Is it's definitely it's a different world, but it's the same world as being able to be in front of the creative side from the very beginning and figuring out all the pieces, putting it together, and making it kind of be your vision collectively. With an actor, it's like, yeah, you have somewhat of the vision, but you got to figure out who this character is within yourself. So it's definitely a different experience, but I love both. There's a lot of things in there that, one of the things we talked about earlier on was, we have a smart gun that Steven Spielberg created, which is a gun that doesn't actually dislodge or shoot unless it's been able to go over the person's record and prove that they're a threat and literally deal with their body breakdown of how hard their heart is beating right now and is their blood pressure up and all that kind of stuff. So we thought that was really smart. But there's a lot of those.
Yeah, no, for sure. I also think that. One of the first meetings that we had with Kevin Falls and Max Bernstein was seeing, what really our show was going to, not only be known for, but remember for it. And I think that one of those things were, how can we make a real social statement in the future? Where are we in the future? Where are we going in the future? And what things, did we learn from some of the things that happened historically to us? And also make a direct tie to present day, which I thought was really exciting and so unique to do, to reflect on what's happening today in the future. We thought it was such a great opportunity to really create food for thought, and that to me was one of the biggest factors for Minority Report, is that everyone can do, everyone can visualize what the future will look like, but what the future would say about us today, I think is really, to me, the most interesting part of Minority Report.
Yeah. I think too, a lot of these things are some of them are really in the process of happening. You look at the system Hawkeye, and I wouldn't be surprised if something like that is implemented in the next,
Hawkeye was inspired by events of today, specifically all the prejudging of in perspective, and perception of certain cases and certain suspects. I think that's one thing that we're touching with Hawkeye, is that we're directly connecting it to to a lot of profiling that happens today, and I think that's one of the reasons why I feel like Hawkeye is such an interesting social statement, because it creates a conversation about, like, did we learn anything from the decades of mishaps?
Right.
Meagan has all the toys. Meagan has all the toys.
I really like, what I thought was really cool was in the first episode, the selfie drone that literally comes up in the air and takes the picture for you, because I'm really bad at selfies. I'm learning, I'm getting better, but I'm pretty horrible at them.
I'm pretty sure he's really good at selfies. You're a liar.
I'm pretty good at using that photo wonder and making the selfie look all right. Just being honest. But I think on the show, I really like using the sonic gun, because it's meant to be non-lethal, even though it could be lethal if someone hits something or something like that. But I love the gun is just really cool because it kind of like blasts someone across the room without actually killing them. So anyway, I enjoy that.
I mean, we have a lot of cool stuff. The cars are so sick on the show, and then the weapons are awesome. They're smart weapons, and the other thing that we have that's really great is how the non-man-powered tools that we have to actually to map out a structure before we actually enter the room. How many suspects are in there? Where are they? Are they armed? How many are armed? How many are not? And I think that's something that I wish our law enforcement and even our armed forces will actually really have. I think it will reduce casualty by a crazy amount of number. So I think that, to me, that's such an exciting technology, that to promise that in the future we'll be able to just be a lot more precise, a lot more strategical when it comes to catching the bad guys. I think that's super fun. And the good old jetpack,
Good old jetpack.
I'm telling you, I've been saying this since we started the season, man. These jetpacks are just awesome. It's just cool.
I like the idea, but I like the idea of doing it on the level that Dash and I do it, where people aren't going to jail immediately because it's been seen in the vision, because there's always the minority report and the potential that that might not happen, but being able to have the insight and the outlook to say, okay, this potentially is going to happen, let's try to get there before it happens, let's try to stop it from happening, and being able to do that, I think, is really kind of the awesome part of it.
What you guys do is really unique because it's a psychological mathematical equation, and what it does is it creates certain perspective, and you guys really kind of get to the root of the problem before the problem happens, and that's something that when the movie happened, it was such a interesting conversation, hence why Tom Cruise dismantled the pre-crime program, but there was enough there were enough visions / predictions that if you were to map out, pretty much the math and the science of it, it really could create a conversation that would lead into a better outcome than the actual possible. And so I think that's why I feel like their partnership made really good sense. And coming full circle to your question, how would we react? I mean, look, today, certain law enforcement, certain detectives, go to psychics. To go out there and go to the field. I mean, they're still happening out there. They grab sidekicks and they go out there and they go in the field of room. Wow, this is where the crime happened. Okay, you know what I mean?